Do you see that? Do you see that stream of bubbles coming out of there?
Is one of your tires leaking air? Here is the quick fix you need. Follow along with us and see how easy it is to do it yourself.
Since the tire that I'm repairing is on the front left of the car, or the passenger side on the front, what I'm going to do is chock the wheels on the other side of the car. We want to make sure we chock the wheels so that we don't let the car roll forward accidentally. Front wheel and back wheel. Now, if you don't have an impact gun to help take lug nuts off, keep the car on the ground and using a breaker bar, break each of the lug nuts free. Just a little bit. Because if you jack the car up and you try to do this with the wheels in the air, they're going to spin. And you don't want that. Also, I always untorque lug nuts in a star shape, just the same as you would if you were tightening them. I've never really seen any data that says you need to do this, but it seems to me that if uneven tightening, when you tighten the lug nuts down, can cause distortion in rotors, seems to me that loosening would do the same thing. One of our viewers commented during one of our previous videos on floor jacking and how not to use a floor jack, and he had a great idea of putting a pool noodle on the handle of the jack. I didn't have a pool noodle, but I did have some leftover pipe insulation, and the reason you put this here is in case this thing should fly forward or something and smack the car, you haven't chipped your beautiful paint job. So, great idea. Put a pool noodle on there or some pipe insulation, protect your car finish. So this particular vehicle has a unibody frame, or at least a partial unibody frame, so it has what's called pinch points here. This is where you lift the car from. Typically, you should have an adapter on your scissors jack which fits around this pinch point. But what we typically do is use a piece of 2x4 on our jack between the jack metal and the car. I line up the center of the lifting pad, make sure that the wood grain is perpendicular to the load or the path of the pinch point, and I will jack from here. The wood is relatively soft and it will not cause any damage to the pinch points. I will then place a jack stand under a different part of the car, and I'll show you that in a sec. Now, as you lift the car, you want to keep an eye on the front wheel. Make sure the car doesn't roll as you lift the car. It could start rolling on you, and you'll be able to see by looking at the front wheel if that is the case. Because if it does start rolling, stop, put the car down very carefully. So in our case, the wheel hasn't rotated at all. It's now off the ground, and we're in good shape. So we'll just keep going up a little bit until we get enough room to put our jack stand underneath the car. All right, we got enough room for our jack stand. I'm going to put it under the subframe in a very rigid spot on the car. This is where the suspension connects to the car. It's a good spot to place the jack stand and let the car sit on that as well.
Some people like to keep the floor jack under the car, but we prefer to lower the car completely onto a jack stand and then move the floor jack out of the way. This gives us more room to work safely. And you should never, ever rely solely on the floor jack. It can fail. Always use jack stands to support the car before you crawl under it.
Also, a safety tip. I always use earplugs for anything that's going to make a lot of noise. You'd be surprised how sensitive your ears can be to noises like this. They might not seem that loud, but over time and over years of this kind of exposure, you can damage your hearing. So always use earplugs as well. Keep your lug nuts off to the side somewhere safe where they won't get kicked or lost. Might have to knock the wheel around a little bit, loosen it up. This guy's a little tight and off it comes. Well, let's see what we got here. Don't lose that. Put it someplace safe where you won't lose it. Hold the gauge on so that this face is perpendicular to the axis of the stem coming out. If you have it cocked, it could leak a lot of air. All right, so this gauge is really, really lousy. I think this is for a, it's got to be for a bicycle. Look at the pressures on these things. It goes up to 120. So hold on, folks. I'm going to get the right gauge. Okay, got the right gauge now. Let's see what we have here. Let me show you. If you don't hold the gauge on correctly, hear that? Air's coming out. You want to make sure that you hold it on square to the stem. You'll feel it when it's right, and you won't hear any air leaking out. Like that. So, what do we got here? What's that say? 30. So, yeah, it's low. This car has a pressure monitoring system, so you can see the PSI on the dashboard, and it does show that it gets low after a while. So, we do have a leak here somewhere. Let's see how we can find that. So we're going to check the tire pressure, but I don't know what the tire pressure is supposed to be on this car. But luckily, every single car has on the inside of the driver door a little sticker. And it tells us what the tire pressure should be, as well as the tire size. So on this thing, front is supposed to be 35 PSI. And it's always cold. Measure it when it's cold, not after a run. So 35 PSI is what we're looking for. But first we're going to fill it up to the right pressure, which is 35 PSI. So now that we got the tire off the car, let's give it a mark with a grease pencil or something like that as a starting point. And we'll slowly roll the tire along and just take a look at it. See if there's anything on here that jumps out at us as a possible leak point. If we see something like that, it's a good idea to circle it so you don't lose track of where it was. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Anything else? Oh, by the way, see these marks here? Those are between the treads. They're in the water clearance grooves. Those are tread wear indicators. They're there to tell you when you need to replace your tire. If this surface is flush with that surface, that means this has worn down to that point. It's time to change your tires. Another great tip. All right, so let's keep going. Ooh, what's this? Is that a rock or a stone? Sometimes they're nails. Well, let's just circle that just so we don't lose track. Here's a big old gouge. Let's circle that. It really is amazing the torture that the tires are subjected to every day. What do we got in here? What's that? Oh, that's just water. Okay. All right. Keep going. Let's stay in the sunlight so that we can see better. A little bit of a chunk missing there, but doesn't look that bad. Circle it. What the heck? Keep going. Keep going. Keep looking for anything that looks suspicious. That's a pretty big chunk missing there too, but might not be anything. Just because you see a chunk or a tear doesn't mean it's leaking from that spot. Oh, there's another chunk missing. I don't think that's them. I don't think that's a problem. But and there's our start mark. So we're back to the starting point. Now it's time to get out the soapy water. Put some soapy water on the tire, and wherever there may be a hole, air is coming out and the soapy water will bubble. So I got my soapy water ready. I got my start line here again because I don't want to keep going around and around forever without realizing I've gone around already. So I just douse the whole area with soapy water and I watch. You're going to see all these little bubbles. That's normal. What you're looking for is a bubble that keeps streaming, a steady stream of bubbles. So far I don't see anything there, but oh, I see something over here. What do we see here? Look at that. Let us put a little bit more water on there. Oh yeah, that for sure is leaking. Notice the circle that I made before where the chunk's missing. that's not a problem. There's not a bunch of bubbles bleeding out there. But let's get a close-up of this for you guys. Okay, pouring some more water on there. Do you see that? Do you see that stream of bubbles coming out of there? That is a definite indication of a really good leak. So let's try to dry that off just a little bit with my grease pencil. I'm going to mark that for sure. That is definitely a spot we got to take care of. We're going to keep checking the rest of the tire, and if I find another spot, I'll let you know. So we've got our culprit marked here. It's going to be a little shaky, but that's our guy right there. That's what was bubbling in the video with the bubbles. So we're going to try to pull that out very carefully with some needle nose or any kind of tool that we can grab onto there. But you must wear safety glasses. Always wear safety glasses. This could come flying out at you because it's under pressure and into your eye. I have a whole video on safety glasses that I'll put a link in the video here for. You got to watch that, because if you don't wear safety glasses, watch that video, you will after that. So anyway, we're going to dig down into the rubber around this thing. We're going to try to at least get this laid out of the way a little bit. And so we're trying to push the rubber down to the sides of this piece. And I'm not getting a good purchase on that. Let us try some side cutters. Sometimes that works a little bit better. It's got a sharper edge on it, and we can leverage it out. And here it comes. You see that? Close enough? Okay, it's coming out. There's a little bit of a puff of dust. Hang on to it good. Pull it out. Oh, that's it. That is the only thing that was causing this thing to lose air. So, not very big. Just deep enough to puncture the inner side of the tire. So, throw this out carefully. You don't want to throw that on the floor anywhere, because guess what? You'll be fixing another tire. Throw that out, and I'll show you how to patch this. So this is the stuff I use. You got some rubber cement. This happens to be made by Slime. Here's my tire repair kit. Let's empty it out and I'll show it to you. Yeah, here's another tube of rubber cement. But you know what? I don't know what it is with these little tubes. They seem to evaporate even though you have them closed up. So in the can, it lasts a lot longer. It doesn't seem to go away. I don't know why that is. Who knows? Can you tell me? Tell me. Why does this go away? Let me know in the comments. So you also have this reamer tool. Usually it's pretty sharp. That's why I've got a cork on it. It's basically used to clean out the hole that that object made in your tire. You want to roughen up the sides of the hole so that the new rubber plug sticks. Then you got this tool. This is the tool that actually pushes it in. It's a little old. Obviously I've used this quite a bit in my day, and that's what it looks like. It's a hook that holds onto the plug. You push it into the tire, pull it out, and there you go. These are the rubber strips that are used to actually plug the hole, and I'll show you how this works. I've got the tire propped up against the workbench so it doesn't move around. It's still under pressure. Some people empty the tire out. I like to keep the pressure in there because sometimes when you push this tool in, if there's no air pressure in the tire, it collapses the tire. It makes it a little bit tricky. So line this tool up with the hole, push it in, give it a gentle wiggle, and turn it as you push. You're going to hear crunching sometimes, things like, I don't know how to describe, little clicks. That's the tool hitting the steel belts. And here we go. See, the tool is penetrating. You can hear the air coming out. Just keep going in, keep going in. And once it's in about that far, hang on to it and push it in and out. It's going to be tricky, but just keep working at it and it'll come out. And there it goes. And look at that. My tool's bent. I hate it when I have bent tools. We'll have to replace that. So now we'll let the air out of this thing and we'll show you the next step. Next step is to load up this tool. We want to take one of these rubber strips, which are very sticky and gooey. There's actually a few in here. Peel one off, like so. Very sticky, very gooey. And load it into the tool. See how it's open like that? We're going to push this into the tool like so. You want it about half on this side, half on this side, and it should be loaded up just like that. Next step, take your rubber cement, coat the plug with the rubber cement. Not sparingly, but don't have it on there so it's dripping. It's got to be really well covered. Like so. And I'm going to coat the tip of the tool a little bit too, because that acts as lubrication. Okay, next step is to take the tool that you got loaded up. We're going to have a handy helper hold the tire down. This is a little tricky. You got to push that plug in through a very small hole. You may have to turn it and twist as you push. It's going to be tricky, but be careful not to let it go pass through the hole all the way. You want to stop so that the plug is about halfway into the hole. Keep twisting, keep pushing, twisting. It's going to be tight, especially since that hole is pretty small. You don't want it to be too big. Keep wiggling. Sometimes you may have to ream the hole out a little bit bigger, but yeah, keep pushing. Try to angle the tool different ways maybe to get that in there.
Sorry, Papa.
That's okay. That's all right. Keep going. That's a good. Oh, slow it down. Slow it down. A little bit more. A little bit more. And I'd say we're good there. We got these ends sticking out just a little bit. Should be able to pull the tool out, and that plug will stay in there because of the design of this tool. Okay, I believe that is in there enough. So here is a close-up of what that looks like after you've pushed it in. Notice that you want those ends sticking out. If you push too far and that whole thing falls into the hole, now you've got a piece of plug flying around inside the tire. Not the greatest. It won't hurt anything, but you don't want that. So when you're pushing it in, make sure you stop before they're pushed in all the way. So now we're going to trim off the excess rubber. Hold the ends with a needle nose just like that. Use a nice sharp razor blade to cut through these plugs. It doesn't really matter if they're flush to the tire surface. That'll wear off in no time as soon as you start driving. They're a little tougher than you think, but that's exactly how we want to cut them off. We just don't want the ends floating around. Now it's time to fill the tire up again. 35 psi. $35. Okay, we got 35 psi. We're going to double check that spot for leaks and see if we got it correctly sealed up. All right, we got the tire back outside. We got our soapy water. We're going to pour a little bit of soapy water on here and see if we got any bubbles. That's good. Now, because when the water's running, it tends to wash away the bubbles of a slow leak. So we'll stop now. We got the soapy water on there. Looking at it. We have a couple bubbles there, but that just might be from it being poured on. Let's knock them out of the way and we'll see if they come back. That's good. I think we're good. I don't see any bubbles coming out.
All right.
Very good.
If you don't find a stream of bubbles, meaning that there's a leak in the tire, the valve stem might be the culprit. Try pouring some soapy water into the valve opening and watch for bubbles. If bubbles appear there, the valve is leaking, but that's a video for another time. Now that we know our tire's fixed, we're going to put the wheel back on. Notice what my son's doing here. He's lifting the tire wheel with his toes. That way he doesn't wrench his back. Makes it a lot easier. Always thread the lug nuts back on by hand. You want to get a few threads started before you throw any kind of tool at that so you don't cross thread the lug nut threads. We're going to be using our impact to tighten these lug nuts down. The right way to do this is to put the car back on the ground and use a torque wrench, but we've always done it this way. With the lug nuts tightened, we can now lift the car and pull out the jack stand.
Okay, we always want to make sure wheels are clear, no tools, no fingers, no nothing underneath the tires, and slowly bring it down. Very good. Okay, out comes the jack stand. Don't forget our block of wood that's stuck on the pinch point there. Excellent. Don't forget to get rid of your blocks of wood.
That might have to wait.
Okay. That one's out. All right.
So the front chock's a little stuck under the tire, which actually means the car did roll forward a tiny little bit. That's okay, we'll back the car up and we'll be able to get it out at that time. Fixing it in your own driveway saves you the hassle of sitting around at a busy shop, and it saves you some cash too. If you like this tip, hit that like button, share it with your buddies, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.